I received an email with a question about running ipsec on two systems, host to host. So instead of going like a VPN that you would have in the office, they want to run ipsec between two separate hosts. The question was related to running Strong Swan on Red Hat based systems like Rocky or Alma, version 9.x. And he had a question about macsec between two boxes, which is basically MAC address encryption. Basically, you would encrypt the traffic at layer 2 using the MAC address. Just looking at ways to secure traffic between two systems. I left two links for this. The first one is the official Red Hat documentation. Go and take a look at that. Read all of this. Instead of Strong Swan, they recommend LibreSwan. And if you'll scroll down here, it gives you some information about the authentication methods. I'm going to set it up with pre-shared keys because it's easier. The Red Hat site here gives you examples on how to do it with RSA. There is a piece of information here somewhere. Let me find it. That's not it. Oh, it's this right here. It says that LibreSwan is implemented in the kernel and is the only technology recommended for use by Red Hat Linux. So if you want to get support for them, you're going to have to use LibreSwan instead of the Strong Swan. And if you'll scroll on down some more, they give you information on how to get started. The first step is installing LibreSwan. You have to make sure the app stream and repository is enabled, and that's enabled by default, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. And I have two virtual machines that I'm going to use for this. I called one is running almalinux 9. And I got to go and erase what I've done on there, so I'm going to make it run this snapshot instead. And this is, I'm running KVM for my virtual machines. So I'm going to start up the almalinux VM. And I'm going to do the same with the Rockylinux VM. Again, I've got a snapshot, so I want to wipe off all the things I've done on here. That tells it to start. And I don't want you looking at that small console screen, so I'm going to switch over to a console for it. Go over to my terminal and make sure the VMs are running. And I want to connect to that one in the top window. And I want to connect to Rocky in the bottom window. Just that one part. And I'm going to show you what version I'm running on Rocky. We're release 9.4 and do the same with the almalinux. You see you're also running 9.4 on both. But we're going to go back to, that's not what I wanted. I wanted Firefox over here. We're going to go back and look at our documentation. First thing we want to do is install LibreSwan. They have Yum listed here, but we want to use DNF. Install LibreSwan. Switch back over. Do a DNF. Same command works on both boxes. Not install. Just install by itself. Answer yes to the question there. Installs complete on almalinux, and the installs complete on Rockylinux in just a moment here. And you see the versions of the other packages are the same on Alma and Rockylinux. So if I go back over, it says if you're reinstalling LibreSwan, remove it and its old files. So I'll go ahead and do that. You can just hit this little button to copy and switch over. I didn't do it right. You gotta paste. And it says it can't remove that because it doesn't exist. And it says initializing the NSS database. We'll do the same on Alma. We'll get the same message. Back to the documentation. You want to enable ipsec to start on boot. And I keep clicking the wrong paste. It's right click paste. That tells it to create the symbolic link and enable it. Done that on both boxes. Now here's the part you may have missed and the part that may have caused you a lot of problems. There is a firewall built into Red Hat, almalinux, and Rocky that's on by default. So you've got to add something to the firewall that's going to let the ipsec connection come through. And this is the command that you're going to use. It's firewall cmd. You're going to add the service first, and then you're going to make it permanent with these two commands. Again, you copy to the clipboard. I would just paste in that command to add the ipsec to the firewall. Success for the first command, success for the second one. Same thing on the other one. So we've opened up the firewall to allow ipsec to come in. Now, if you you follow these instructions here on section 5.4, they're talking about creating a host-to-host VPN, but they're doing it with RSA keys. I don't want to do that right now. I want to do it with just using a secret key. I put a second link in there to the LibreSwan wiki page, which has information on creating a host-to-host VPN. And you might want to just read a bunch of this information here because it's related to ipsec running under these Red Hat and almalinux and Rocky systems. The first thing we're going to do is create a pre-shared key. They suggest you can use OpenSSL, or you can use PWGen. I'm going to use the OpenSSL command that they have here, which is that. And you only have to generate the pre-shared key on one of them because you're going to use it on both of them. So when you go to paste that in, it's going to generate that long pre-shared key. So you want to make a copy of that. Tell you what, I'll do it down here and leave that there. And you have to put that pre-shared key into a config file. The first file is etc ipsec.secrets. So you're going to put the IP of the first host, the IP of the second host, colon, and then you're going to put the pre-shared key in double quotes here. So I'm going to copy just this part of it with the quote. And that's etc ipsec.secrets. Let's make sure I get the right file. So over here, I'm going to edit my ipsec.secrets. Oh, my terminal's not set up right. And by default, it has an option to include the .secrets files that are in etc ipsec.d. So I'll create a line under that one, and I need the two hosts that are involved, which is 10.10.20.55 and 10.10.20.156. I'm going to paste in what I copied. And I want to grab that pre-shared key, which is there. Yeah, I did it wrong. I got a middle click to copy from here. And the line wrapped, but that's one big line. So we've got it with the close thing there. We want to save it. So you see there, it's one big line there. And I want to copy this line. That's on the Rocky box, and we're going to put that same thing into the almalinux box. Yep, terminal's not set. We're going to paste that in. Again, it wrapped it. And I'm going to make sure it's JAL 19. And the order of the host doesn't matter. ipsec will figure out which one is which. So I've got 155 here, 155 here. It doesn't matter. ipsec is going to figure it out. So you see the almalinux box is 155. And Rocky is 156, which is here. Go back and see what's next here. Say now you create an etc ipsec.conf file to set up the host tunnel, which is the connection, the secured connection from one host to the other. So we can actually copy this right here. And make note that it says auto equal add here. We're adding it right now because we're testing. Once we get it set up and working correctly, we'll set it to auto equal start. That means every time the system starts itself, the connection will start. So I'm going to go to etc ipsec.conf. And there's already a file there with some stuff in there. So what I'm going to do is rename it. I'm going to rename it in case I want to go back and look at what it sets by default. I'm going to do the same thing over there, but I'm going to do that later. I'm going to ipsec.conf. I have to right click and paste. I have to change my IP addresses here. Well, I want Alma to be left and Rocky to be right. And we've got auth by secret, which means pre-shared keys. Alright, I want to do the same thing on the almalinux box. You can rename that file whatever you want. I just call it orig because it's the original one. And I want to take this whole thing. And again, it's the same configuration file, and ipsec will figure out which is left and which is right. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Says ensure ipsec is started with this command. Paste. And And ipsec was running, so we need to tell it to reread the secrets file. Copy, paste. And when you see this, it says no secrets file name. It's looking at that first line that's there. That's looking in ipsec.d. Since there are no files there, it didn't find any. But it says it loaded the secrets from the one that we created, the ipsec.secrets file. And we have to load the tunnel. We're going to load the tunnel on both. And it says added IKE version 2 connection. IKE version 2 is the default. Same thing on the other one. And now we're going to bring the tunnel up and see if it comes up. Copy that. I believe the log file is varlog secure. Let me see. All right, so I'm going to paste in that command a semicolon, which means I want to run another command immediately after. And the command I want to run is to tail the secure file to see information about ipsec. All right, it says it added the IKE version 2 connected, established the SA, established the child SA. Here you are with some 256-bit ipsec stuff. And we're going to start it on the bottom one, but we're not going to tail the file because it's going to be the same. It says it created the child SA, established the SA. So it's going 20.156 to 20.155. It says it's established. Again, that lets you know it's using 256-bit encryption. So what we want to do here, I don't know if TCP dump is installed by default. And it is, so P1S0. I'm just going to run a packet capture on ENP1S0. So from Rocky, we're going to ping the almalinux box. And you can see these ESP packets are the ipsec packets. So it gets decrypted, and then it sees that it's an echo request. And then it encrypts the reply and sends it back. So that's very basic on how you can set up ipsec. And if you want to use multiple hosts, you have to add them to your secrets file. So in your secrets file, we're on almalinux, so it's a 155. The 155 would always be on the left side, and then you'd have the second host on the other side. So this host could be on the same subnet, or it can be on a remote subnet. And you would set up a shared key for it, And then on that remote system, you do the same thing. You would set up ipsec with the same pre-shared key. And again, it doesn't matter which side it's on, ipsec will figure it out. So you'll have to add multiple entries in the secrets file, and then you'll have to add multiple connections in the conf file. Let's see, ipsec.conf. So you'll have to add multiple tunnels in the conf file with your source and destination IPs. And again, you change this auto equal add to auto equal start, so you don't have to manually bring them up. So that covers ipsec. And there was another question. Well, the second part of his question was related to Mac security, which is encrypting the packets at layer 2. I found some information on that, but it wasn't very complete, so I'm going to show you what I found. I made a mistake in the video. This is an edit. I forgot one major thing. As you can see, the pings are working here, and the TCP dump is just showing it as macsec. The thing that I forgot to do, you have to install something called the WPA supplicant. You have to install this for it to work correctly. You have to go back and install the WPA supplicant. And I'll stick this in at the front of the video and in the middle. Alright, there's going to be a third link there. And that one's going to cover the macsec security. I'm going to copy that. Copy that to my notes here. That was the third one. Oh, that was it right there. Okay. So basically, I followed the instruction on this page and multiple pages, but nothing worked. It seems like it's missing something. And I'm going to put in the part that is missing that I found somewhere else. The first thing you're going to need is a key. And the command that you use to generate that key is right here. Now when you run that command, we want to paste, it's going to return a different value every time, because it's running it based off of dev random. So it's going to return a different value each time. So whatever box you're on. But once you run that, you want to make note of that. So write it down somewhere. We're going to run this command to actually configure the macsec D0 device. So you're going to be creating a virtual macsec 0 interface which rides on top of your Ethernet interface. And the actual encrypted traffic will ride across the encrypted interface. So we're going to copy this command to bring up the virtual macsec 0 interface. Let me clear that so you can see. And the actual interface is I'm running off of a console, so it's kind of screwy. Let me put it into Notepad here. I actually have it here, so let me use what I have here. And looking in those instructions, they had just the number 0 by itself, but it wouldn't accept it unless I used 00. So you're also going to need the MAC address off of each device. And to get the MAC address off of each device, you just do an IP address. You don't have to type the whole thing. Address show. And for your Ethernet device, which is here, the MAC address is listed right there. So you're going to do the same thing on this box. You're going to grab the MAC address for this. You have to bring it up. We're going to do the almalinux box first. This is the key that we generated. Well, that's one of the keys that I generated before. So I'm going to create the virtual macsec 0 interface. And you don't get an error, so that means it's okay. We'll do that on both. And I'm going to put these in the notes as well. The next thing you have to do now, it says to configure a matching receiving secure channel. And then right below it says configure the transmit channels. So what it's doing, the TX stands for transmit. I'm setting up a key with a label of 0, and that's the key that we generated here. That's what this device, the almalinux device, is going to transmit with. It's going to send this key. When I go down to the Rocky box, it's the same thing. It's a transmit, but I called it key 01 because it's the second key in this communication. And again, the key is the same that I generated on the Rocky before. So we're going to set up the transmit channels first. So we'll do that on almalinux. And you get no errors, so you're okay. We're going to do the same thing on the Rocky. We're going to generate the transmit channel. And this is in the instructions, but remember, the instructions I had, some of the instructions that I saw had just the number 0 and it wasn't working. Some of them had just the number 1 and it wasn't working. It didn't work until I put 00 or 01. And I find that out by just looking at a bunch of sample configs that are out there. Now we have to set up the receive channel. Now on the receive channel, there's a reference to the MAC address. This is the MAC address that is being received. So you're going to receive from the Rocky box, which has this MAC address, which is here. And same on the almalinux box. Well, same on the Rocky box. When you set up the receive channel, you're going to reference a MAC address, which is the MAC address that's on the Alma box, which is here. So we're going to do this first part of setting up the receive channel. Control copy. Is that the almalinux box? Yes, that's the Alma box. And we're going to do the same on the Rocky box. Where is it? The receive. So we're going to copy that. And no errors, so it's good. Now we have to set up the second part of the receive channel, which is where we're associating the remote MAC address. This is the MAC address. This is on the Alma box. This is the MAC address of the Rocky box. And this is the password that the Rocky box is sending, which is listed here in its transmit. So the transmit password on the Rocky box is used on the receive on the Linux box. So here we're associating the MAC address with the password. And if you don't know, the backslash is just a continuation, so it's not one big long line. So I'm going to copy this onto the Alma box. Hit enter, and it's there, no errors. We're going to do the same on Rocky. Rocky, we're taking the MAC address from the Alma box and associating it with the key that the Alma box is sending. So we're going to copy this. And we're going to put it here. Again, no errors, so it's good. Then we have to bring the link up. We have to bring it up on both of them. No. We have to right click and say paste. Macsec up. Paste. Macsec up. So that brings it up on both. Now, since we've got a virtual macsec 0 interface, we want to put an IP on it. And that's the IP that it's going to use for the encryption. So I'm going to set almalinux to 42.1. And I'm going to set Rockylinux to 42.2. Just here. All right, we're going to ping the other direction this time. So if I do a TCP dump on the interface, I made a mistake in the video. This is an edit. I forgot one major thing. As you can see, the pings are working here. and the TCP dump is just showing it as macsec. The thing that I forgot to do, you have to install something called the WPA supplicant. You have to install this for it to work correctly. You have to go back and install the WPA supplicant. And I'll stick this in at the front of the video and in the middle. I believe macsec uses AES 128 by default. It may be possible to use something else, but I didn't have time to really check into it. I just wanted to figure out how to get things set up. And again, these notes that I have come from multiple websites, and this is what I figured out how to do. And what I'm seeing is if you run the link add command, it'll create the macsec 0 device, and that device will be there every time you reboot. But the TX and the RX information will not be there, so you'd have to re-add it. I tried a different way to do it from redhat. They had a way of using some other thing. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let's go here. Yeah, they had some type of CAK option and MKA for the encryption. I tried that, but I couldn't get it to work. It would create the device and it would just sit there. It wouldn't create the the receive or the transmit channels. So those were the steps that I followed to create ipsec from one Linux host to another Linux host. Put a link in there for the LibreSwan wiki page. Go through there and read the information. And because it has a lot more than just this little quick tutorial that I put up. It is a lot easier with ipsec, and the ipsec can span multiple subnets. So you could have the server at one site, a server at a completely different site, and you can run ipsec between them, and the traffic will be encrypted. 73, and thank you for watching. Make sure you click the like button.